Okay, we are live. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just wait on this. Oh, there's Sean.
No.
I was joking, you were sprinting down Brock Street.
You probably were.
Right also.
Oh, God, yeah.
We're live on YouTube.
And we have quorum.
And there's the
Yeah, it was more just like a week of a shuffle. I'm sorry. All right. I guess let's call the meeting to order. I'd like to start by acknowledging the respect that we are in the province of Huron Treaty Territory, and that's the land on which we're gathered. It's the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, and known as Balachain. Balachain is home to the Garden River First Nation, Atchimota First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie. So, thank you everybody for joining us today. It's a beautiful summer day, or late spring. I guess we can start with the adoption of the minutes. So could I have a mover for the adoption of the minutes? Anybody who was here at the last meeting? Moved by Isabel, seconded by.
I was here, I think.
Oh, wait.
Second.
So Angela, and any revisions to the minutes? No, was that good? Seeing none, we'll call a question. All those in favor, please raise your hand, or otherwise signal your assent. And any opposed, please raise your hand. And the motion carries. The next item is declaration of any pecuniary interests. There we go. None have been noted. So the next item is the adoption of the agenda. So, quick review of the agenda. We have regular items, but the new items, new business, are the discussion of the local forum and the ACAP application review. Do I have a mover for the agenda? Moved by Miranda, seconded by Angela. All those in favor, or any revisions to the agenda, I should say. Oops, sorry, folks, you got ahead of me there. Are there any revisions, additional items? Nope. Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And the motion carries. The next item is business writing. I don't know that there is any. Nope, no business.
No,
Oh, there we go. We'll move on to subcommittee and task force updates, which again, we don't have any. Correct.
not right now.
Great. And that brings us to new business. So the cultural forum. So last time that we met, we discussed putting this on the agenda to have a discussion regarding hosting a cultural forum in 2023. Some of the ideas that were tied to this included an opportunity for public feedback on the ACAP process, whether it be the application themselves or the general structure of the public program. So that is one sort of purpose. Another was to have discussion about issues of critical significance or importance to the arts and cultural sector in Sault Ste. Marie. So this could include general forum discussions, sharing of information, strategies, general trends, things of that nature. And then the other one that was brought up was the potential for capacity building workshop. It could be paired with say presentations by Canada Council or Ontario Arts Council, and other organizations like Artifact or music that I'm forgetting their acronym is, but in any case, those such organizations. Anyway, so that was the initial point, but I just opened it up for discussion for any additions, revisions, and also I think we may want to start a volunteer committee that would sort of take some charge in organizing that as one of the projects of this committee. So the floor is open for any further discussion or questions, comments, additions. Donna?
Sean, I apologize for asking you to do this, but I had a bit of trouble hearing you, and I think there was a couple of times where you cut out. Could I just ask you to repeat kindly, and I'm going to write them down this time, what you said about the previous ideas? I think you said there were 3 of them, correct?
Absolutely, and no trouble at all. I'm sorry. I wasn't in my I was late, so I wasn't in my facilitator mode and projecting. So the first was really about the getting feedback on the Arts and Cultural Assistance Program process and even the community cultural plan. The second was really more of a forum for discussing critical issues related to the arts and culture sector in the city and region. And then the third was the potential to host at the same time like capacity building workshops, such as by other funders or representative groups. So I guess one major question is, do other members see this as something that's of value that we should be doing? And also if there's additional ideas for what such a forum should be doing or should add.
I have a question. So this would be like a local explorative forum where we're bringing together different silos locally to integrate and dialogue and kind of share ideas and capacity building, and it would be completely like Algoma based?
That's right. And it stems from a section of the cultural policy that had outlined some of the, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. It outlines some of the responsibilities of the Cultural Vitality Committee, and one of those was to host a biannual forum about culture and the arts. It was vague and beyond that, but that was sort of the directive of the terms of reference, I suppose.
Okay, I just had my understanding of a forum is a little bit less directive capacity building and teaching, and a little bit more everybody brings what they have to the table and shares in that way. So I'm not sure how much of it is directive based, like educational based, and how much of it is us collecting information.
Well, I think that's up for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good.
I think it's up for discussion, and I think a big part of it, in my eyes, is really collecting that information and hearing again from the groups. It's been a few years since we've gotten feedback from a lot of the different cultural organizations and makers in the community. So I think it's a great opportunity to bring them together and have dialogue and start to collect more feedback, because the plan takes us to 2025. And we're gonna need to start looking at 2025 to 20, oh my goodness, 2030. Feels weird saying that.
Okay, yeah, and if there's a way to keep it ongoing where this is like, my understanding of a forum is kind of either a one-time thing or something that people can contribute to in an ongoing basis where they're resource sharing or they're sharing that dialogue and creating the kind of network that stays together through and through. So it can be a great way to bring that and start that as something that goes on for a longer time than just the event as well.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Donna?
So whatever the content of this being, whether it's partly educational and partly collecting info and some of the ideas that are already presented and more that if we were to say, yes, we're going to do this, that we could certainly talk about and making it dynamic and exciting and useful and productive. But I think that, thank you, Virginia, for saying 2025, because this should be, in my mind, a springboard to the update or renewal of, it's a temperature check, if you will, among other things. It should be a springboard to, or maybe it is the first step in the renewal of the cultural plan. Is to hold this forum, gather people together, have things go two ways. And then that sets us, I would think, working with a consultant or whatever that would be, I would think that would set us up well to renew, whatever word is right in terms of what we would do with the existing plan to be able to take us next 5 years down the road.
Very good point. Yasmina?
I just want to have a couple of questions. First question is, what are the possible dates for this? When is this planned to be?
I think there's some flexibility here, but last meeting, it was suggested that it would be wise to have it coincide with Culture Days, since there will be a lot of other activity around then, a lot of focus.
Okay.
That could be drawn.
Yeah, that's what I remember even from those initial discussions when we had 2 or 3 years ago about that. So, okay, just wanted to double check. And then my next question really is, and I value everything that has been said so far about the collecting information, getting together, being the springboard for the renewal of the cultural plan. However, my question is, if we don't have any opinion from the outside, how do we know that we are staying current with the times? Because the times that we live in are very interesting times, and a lot of things are changing rapidly and frequently. So for us to be isolated and just focus on our own talking to each other, in my view, is not the most productive way. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Yasmina. Miranda?
Yasmina kind of read my mind a little, so I'm going to build on some of what she said. I can't remember the earliest conversations that we had to the letter, but I'm wondering if this is a multi-day event, and if day one maybe has a more local focus, a more municipal focus. Maybe day two is an opportunity for us to bring in some guests from outside of the immediate community, maybe make some connections across the region, possibly even further afield, to create those opportunities for exchange. Also to maximize those opportunities for renewal and springboarding. So often I've heard people say when we get together at these events that we don't, like, that's the only time that we get to see each other, especially working across the north. We only really have an opportunity to get together at these events that are happening outside of our communities. So it might be nice to build on that regional exchange in particular with regard to the cultural forum. Really celebrate Sault Ste. Marie during Culture Days.
Thanks, Miranda. Any other comments? So it sounds like there's, sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
it sounds like there's a desire, it sounds like there's an interest, and that this will cover a wide range of terrain. Do we have volunteers to work on it? Is that Yasmina and Donna? Great, awesome. I'll volunteer too. Yeah. Other members are, I'm sure, are welcome as the days go on, but the three of us can get the ball rolling. Well, okay, I suppose we need a motion to it. Yeah. Yeah, Virginia's reading my mind, which is as usual. So, yeah, well, let's be prepared. Are there any other comments, thoughts, considerations for the group that we'll be working on? Okay, well, let's read the motion and we'll
So it's resolved that this Cultural Vitality Committee appoint Jasmina, Ghana, and Sean to sit on a task force along with city staff to work on planning a cultural forum in 2024.
do we have a mover? I don't know why my voice sounded. Miranda, and seconded by Richard. Great, thank you both very much. Any discussion? Move to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Anybody opposed? No, please raise your hands. And the motion carries. Next item is the ACAP application review. So as well as you're all aware, we just got through the ACAP review process. First time for many, second or third kick of the can for others. And we've been talking for quite some time about the need to review the applications, keep them updated, keep them responsive. And while this will be an area where we'll get feedback at this potential forum in the fall, it's also something that we can get a head start on. I'm mixing it one today. Sorry. So we can get a head start on this in terms of the perspectives that we've already collected within the committee. So the idea here was to appoint 2 members to assist with the review of the Arts and Culture Assistance applications, particularly to flag those areas that are, could use some improvement, or areas where we want more information, areas where we're getting abundance of information that's not necessarily useful, and sort of streamlining that process. Any discussion before we, Richard?
I mean, I personally think that this should go forward just from the aspect of when somebody puts in an application and it is now open to the public, the whole document. And I think I expressed my concerns of that a couple of meetings ago. So I'm certainly in favor of going forward with this so that it's certainly less than quorum that's reviewing the documents. And I would hope that the committee would then come forward with a concise review of the documents so that not everything is out in the public realm. So.
My apologies, I just have to get some clarification. It depends on what you need, or it depends on what you mean by in the public realm. All meetings of any task forces or groups, so the subcommittee will have to be public as well under the Municipal Act. So
No, that's not correct. Sorry, that's not correct.
So there's 2 parts, and I think I know what you're asking, Richard. So the actual application review process that we just went through, that is part of the way that the entire application process is structured right now. It's not something that's delegated to staff to review and then bring a recommendation to the committee. What I'm looking for here is we continually try to improve it. Every time we go through it, we find little things that could make it easier for the committee members in the review process, but also for the applicants. So we really do want to try to streamline it. So an example, maybe there's 2 applications, one for small organizations, and it's clearly separated out larger organizations. So those are things that we would discuss to try to bring back to the larger committee to say, here's some suggestions and recommendations that we feel might streamline the process for applicants and committee members in the review process. And then it would be up to the committee to then have a further discussion as a whole to say, yeah, we like this, or we think we should do this, and then we would be able to streamline it and hopefully have it implemented for the next intake. As far as the actual review of the applications, that still would reside with the committee to make those decisions. Does that help clarify?
It does, but I still, so here's my concern is some artist is going to come forward and put a proposal out there that is now out in the public forum. Anybody else can steal that person's idea before they even have an opportunity to perhaps act on it, waiting for the committee to approve a funding application. So that's my concern, quite frankly, is when we're doing these applications, we are asking for a tremendous amount of information that is now into the public realm. And I'm not sure that I feel uncomfortable in asking for that information so that it's in the public realm, quite frankly. So that's my concern. Maybe it's only me.
So could we, is there anything under the municipal act that would let us go into closed to review? No.
It would have to be under those particular guidelines. So this would not qualify, even looking at award applications when people are nominated. There's also strict rules with that. So if you're talking specifically about a person that like Sports Hall of Fame, that's something we can go into close for. But if we're talking about owners of buildings and heritage, that's something that could happen in open. So it's pretty strict on when we can and cannot go in
So
closed.
with Richard's concern, I think, from what I understand, being like intellectual property or like, I think that's the best way to frame it, intellectual property or whatever. There's nothing we can do.
They might have to look to see and get them to do a ruling, but it'd be on an application basis, because an operating bridge over the rainbow and for them to put on a play would not qualify, right? So, an artist that says they're going to work on doing a mural, they're not necessarily telling you the exact picture design and mural. They're just telling us that, there's a partnership with an organization and they're going to do a mural there. That wouldn't qualify.
Also, I don't think our current application requests any intellectual property.
I don't think so, no, I haven't, nothing that's like, and then we do blank out certain information, personal information, and then personal phone numbers. The only thing that remains is if an organization is a nonprofit organization, you can generally find the majority of their stuff online as part of their requirements of being a nonprofit. So, that stuff is still included in the application and not redacted, but other information potentially, if it's a personal phone number of a board member, we do redact that.
But I think that's an important point that you raised, Richard, in terms of highlighting what's the information that we actually need to make a decision, so that we're not taking into account, or so that we're not asking for information that will become public that we don't actually need. If I'm making sense there.
Yeah.
And Brendan, I think I saw your hand.
Yeah, I'm wondering more so also if it can be just if the tourism board, if they handle things in a way where they just check the completeness of an application before bringing it. So a lot of times we review applications based on the completeness whether there's a signature or something like it, are we able to take some of that aspect in terms of just the completeness of a grant application and review that prior to bringing it, or even block out some information that we've received so that part of the project doesn't fully get divulged? Is there a way that we can kind of differentiate what's getting checked before it comes to the public?
One of the challenges with that is, and I don't mean to make this a response to you, but just in terms of the previous experience of the committee, and also some of the things that are unique to the nature of this committee, and other similar arts. It's that we have to assess artistic merit. And that's not something that many arts programs have felt should be left to staff alone. Generally, that's why juries have been used by Ontario Arts Council or Canada Council. Certainly, in terms of completeness, staff play a really important role in making sure that applicants, they're flagged if there's any incompleteness in the application, so that they have the opportunity to provide any missing documentation ahead of the deadline. So that's definitely a consideration, and one that the staff have been taking into account. But that has been why these sort of lengthier discussion processes have been employed historically. Now, of course, I don't mean to preclude any discussion that this group might have.
Okay, I was just curious because I understand that sometimes these applications come in and some of the aspects, if we were just looking at merit, it would make it a lot easier, I believe.
Any other points or volunteers for the review?
I'll volunteer.
Miranda, anybody else?
I believe I sent you an email about some of my reservations about the process. Whenever you are going to do this, will these reservations be taken into consideration, or do I have to speak to the group right now about it?
I mean, you can communicate them to a member.
We have the email, so yeah, we can include your comments as part of the discussion as well.
Okay, thank you.
The committee at some point for further
Yeah.
discussion was anyway as well, so we're gonna make sure that this is not being just done under the radar by any means.
And that's a really important point. Thanks, Alicia, for reminding me that in both of these cases, like these task forces, they do they don't make final decisions. All of the final decisions come back to the committee. Is there another volunteer? Sorry, I'm not saying somebody other than Miranda. I mean somebody in addition to Miranda. You have 2 spots.
Okay, there's not.
Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry, Brenda, did you raise your hand? Or was that just a movement?
I can participate as a second volunteer if there's nobody else who's looking to help out. I know that I missed some discussion, so maybe Miranda can catch me up on that. But if nobody else is interested or looking at taking that role, I can definitely help Miranda with that.
Well, that's great. Certainly appreciate the. Oh, Donna.
I just want to make a comment, please. I think Richard's point is extremely well taken, and there's got to be a way, or there's got to be some consideration for what he's talking about. And it's whether it's an artist's individual idea, whether it's somebody who's programming perhaps a new type of an event or a new festival or whatever, it would seem to be unreasonable to expect anyone looking to get support to have their idea shared publicly in such a broad way. There has to be a way to work within the rules, but protect people's privacy and protect people's intellectual property, etc. Still get what the committee can see is I don't know how it would work, but I can tell you that the large majority, and I know it's not municipalities, and I understand the difference between the province and the feds and et cetera, but so many of these types of grants are given or asked for under under something that is not shared publicly. And there just has to be a way. And if there's not a way, then we need to go bang on someone's door and ask that there would be a way, because it's just not okay. Thanks.
I do know that there are blind juries where you take names off of documents, where you can change how much information is being provided to a committee specifically. I understand that a lot of juried things take the names off of the artist and the individual's applications and then grade them on merit and then put them at. So there are different ways that we can look at that, I would assume. And I think it's important to look at those things.
Really interesting. So, great conversation, great discussion so far. If everyone's amenable, we'll move forward with the resolution, which is resolved that Miranda Bouchard and Brenna, oh my goodness, Brenna, what's her last name?
Tomas, yeah.
Tomas, sorry. Along with the manager of recreation and culture, arts and culture coordinator, and the arts and culture administrative assistant, review arts and culture assistance applications and make recommendations to improve the application process. Do I have a mover for the resolution? Moved by Donna, seconded by Richard.
Okay.
And all those in favor, please raise your hand. And anybody, oh, that's everybody, so motion carries. All right, the next item on the agenda is correspondence.
There isn't any correspondence right now, but did you want to give a little bit of update on Summer Moon and?
I'm not ready to share that information.
Okay.
We haven't released it publicly.
Sounds good.
So,
The dates though.
the date for Summer Moon continue to be the 15th, 16th, and 17th of June. We have workshops planned. So today we have going to be workshops, interdisciplinary arts workshops, an artist market, headline concert on Saturday evening, the 17th, along with free parties and walking tours on the 15th and 16th. But the details of that will not be released until later.
But if everybody's following the social, what are the social?
Oh, okay. So we have there's several social media channels going. We have Arts and Culture SSM on Instagram. We also have Arts and Culture SSM on Facebook, as well as summermoonfestival.com and Summer Moon Festival on Facebook as well. So that's it. Now we're looking for volunteers. At this point, we're looking for vendors for the artist market. I believe that we haven't opened that up just yet, to the general public, but it'll be coming very soon. We'll be announcing about the bands and the plan at the time.
Yeah, so follow all our social media and look at Kristen. That's a little plug. Over 1,000 followers.
Yeah, we have quite a few followers on Instagram in particular, and I was to say our Facebook page is doing well also. So, great. I think that's all for that.
Wonderful. Well, I guess we'll move on to our next meeting, which is.
It is the 21st. It's the third Wednesday.
Wonderful. So mark that in your calendars. And I'll entertain the motion to adjourn. By Donna, seconded by Miranda. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Have a lovely long weekend, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.